Okay. Oh my gosh. This is probably going to be the thumbnail. All right. So it's been about 3 days. 3 days since the Corey Kenshin allegations. And I've been thinking about it and watching everybody's responses, whether it's on TikTok, whether it's on YouTube. And it's a lot. As a Blerd, as somebody that's a fan of anime, gaming culture, all this stuff, and really a fan of Corey Kenshin. I've been a fan of Corey Kenshin, I think, since maybe 2017. I found him looking up black gamers. A friend of mine from college had asked, hey, do you know anybody or have you heard of any like black gamers that stream or, make content? And I think when I was searching, Corey Kenshin came up. I like this stuff. The first stuff that I remember watching, and since then, just been following him, liking his stuff. I think he's great, but it was like Cuphead. He was doing his Cuphead playthrough. And so I've been watching his stuff, supporting his stuff for a while now. And I see Corey as a younger brother to me. That's how I feel. I'm older than Corey. And I think him and like other content creators, like I look at RDC World like that, like Caleb, like all those people, I think I see them as like younger brothers, your younger siblings. I honestly admire the stuff that they do because it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of focus and commitment to commit to building up a streaming platform, a content creation platform, all that stuff. So when I logged onto my computer and saw that oh snap, there are allegations about Corey Kenshin, I was blown. I was blown. I was like, yo, not another one. Because earlier, if I'm not mistaken, earlier this year, there were some things about him, like looking at a girl or something that was braiding his hair, which is understanding, not saying that is right, but he's human. People look. It doesn't mean that he did anything to her or whatever. So it was like another thing. And honestly, since maybe 2018, it's just been person after person after person, more specifically, black man after black man after black man, doing some grimy stuff. It's true. Like, it's just been true. I think the earliest one I can think of is Bill Cosby. And since then, it's just been downhill. And for me, as a black man who hopes to and wants to have like a positive, beneficial impact on our community and our society, it's just like, yo, it sucks that it keeps happening. It's like every other week, somebody, there comes out an allegation or something, For a while, for me, this is just a little backstory before I actually share my thoughts about the allegation and everything that happened around it. There was, I guess I agreed with the rhetoric that it was like, oh, there's stuff going on in society or these people are just trying to tear a black man down. Like, I was like, I can understand that. Like, there's definitely a work at trying to stop black men from being great or being successful or whatever. But the more time that I actually listened to and did research and really engaged with a lot of the stuff around that, I actually listened to victims, listened to people who were offended, listened to women and their perspectives, personally in my own personal life. And then, from a distance, you listen to people's experiences online or whatever in the news. My understanding started to change. And more specifically, my understanding around abuse started to change. And so I know the first wave or reaction to everything that was happening was people thought Corey was being accused of SA, right? Even though the young lady who shared her stuff, and sadly, at this point, you can't even go to her TikTok because all the stuff's been taken down. And I have thoughts about that too. I'm gonna try to make this short, but I'm being real honest here. Okay, I'm gonna be as honest as I can, and I can understand that this video probably won't get a lot of likes. I'll probably get a lot of thumbs down for this video, and I get it and I understand because the samurai, which I would consider myself one because I've been watching this stuff, Corey stuff for a long time, commenting, supporting. I'm gonna be waiting for the second volume of We Make Monsters, or what is it? I think that's what it's called. But the second volume of his manga coming out because I already purchased it, invested in it because I believe in it. Right? I believe in it. The lights are in here are weird, but anyways, I'm gonna keep going. It sucks to find out that a person that you look up to or a person that you think is that you might idolize, because I think a lot of people in the samurai community idolize Corey. He's super successful in what he does. And he brings a lot of positive energy and positive vibes to everything that he does. And then, of course, you know, you have the samurai community, and then you even have the other level of being a believer or a Christian. Great. And again, when I first found out about him, that was another like plus to who he was and his character and stuff like that, right? So you find out all these things. But I think taking a step back, looking at this stuff and trying to have a more mature perspective, it sucks all the way around. And I know a lot of people, after she clarified, we'll just say Panda, after Panda clarified that she was not accusing him of SA, everybody was just like, oh, that's it. Done deal. Whatever. You know, like, Corey's off the hook. He doesn't need to respond. He doesn't need to do anything. And it started to spiral really quickly to say that everything that she's doing is a lie. It's not that big of a deal. I've seen people say, oh, it's been 8 or 9 years. Why hasn't she moved on? She needs to get over it. People diminishing what she was really expressing or, you know, alleging was that he was emotionally abusive in a relationship, and that he was toxic, that he was potentially narcissistic and all those things, right? Which for some of us, right, these are buzzwords on the internet. These are buzzwords, like everybody's calling somebody a narc or bringing up emotional maturity and emotional intelligence and all these things, right? Probably really real heavy, real hard since 2020, right? People are going on this idea of the gender wars and all this stuff, and it's progressively becoming like more prominent in everyday language. That was her real thing that she was talking about, and sharing her experience and sharing her perspective. But after it came out, or that she communicated, because in her original post, and a lot of them were gone, she never said anything about that. There was a lot of implication, because again, that's usually the biggest issue that we see in our community and our society right now. If somebody's doing SA, then they need to be wrote off, or they need to be canceled or whatever, right? Understandably so, because SA is a big deal. But all abuse is a big deal. All abuse is a big deal. And that's one of the things that I didn't like, that I find issue with. And the reason I wanted to talk about this, because at the end of the day, I feel really bad for her in this experience, because as somebody that is a victim, and we've seen it, and I think we've seen it since the Me Too movement, which started some years ago, as women, specifically women, but I'll put in victims or people who are offended, they make the effort to try to share their stories and be honest and bring things to light. We are very quick, and I'm including myself in the we because I'm a part of this society. We are very quick to victim blame. We are very quick to try to rationalize or we try to use logic. We try to use logic to completely erase their experience. And it's a problem. And one of the things I feel bad about is that in her attempting to try to express her story, her situation, her perspective, the samurai being very strong, because clearly, you know, Corey Kenshin's got, over 10 million subscribers and diehard fans. They came after her. Was trying to find any holes, any pieces of evidence, anything to tear down her experience. People making fake accounts and trying to say mean things about her or whatever. But she was sharing her experience, and we as a community didn't really give her space. The first thing we wanted to do was take her down, take everything about her down, and not giving her the benefit of the doubt that maybe she did have this toxic, as I've heard some other content creators, YouTubers say that they had a toxic relationship. But yeah, a toxic relationship that, based off of her experience and based off of what she shared, contained emotional abuse, which is a bad thing. Emotional abuse is still abuse, just like mental abuse, just like financial abuse is a real thing, just like SA. It's all there. But because it wasn't SA, we're going to call her a liar. We are going to start to say all of these mean things about her and completely tear down and get rid of her story. So much so that I was just watching clips of this other content creator. He's trying to play both sides and understand both perspectives, and kind of give reason to say, oh, well, you both did something wrong in this relationship. You both played a part in this. Y'all should have been more mature or whatever. So much so that she ended up sharing a post or whatever saying like, oh, based off of this video, I have changed my perspective and I'm going to take my stuff down. And the reason I said earlier that I feel really bad about that is because high key, honestly, she probably took all that stuff down because y'all wouldn't listen to her. Y'all wouldn't believe her. And that sucks. Like, that sucks. That really sucks. She took the chance to be vulnerable and express herself the best way that she knew how in that moment. Because again, a lot of people have said in the comments, oh, this should have been private, whatever. This should have been a conversation that she should have had with Corey one-on-one, all this stuff. We don't need to know all this stuff or whatever. But because of the backlash, because of all the stuff that came, because of the misunderstanding of the things that she communicated, at this point, I honestly feel like she's just tired. And I feel really bad because I know that there are a lot of victims of abuse in our society that will be quiet because of this. They won't share anything. And even if, again, in her posts, the ones that she created on her TikTok channel that are now gone, she said part of why she was sharing this is because she wanted to make room for other people who've had bad experiences to voice their opinion to, to voice their perspective, voice their story. Why would they do it now? If there were any other victims, if there were any other people who were offended, why would they do it now? There is no space. There's no space in our society for victims. And it sucks. My channel says Beneficial Blerd now, but the heart behind what I'm still doing is to become a beneficial black man and to help other black men be beneficial. And Corey falls in that category. And the thing about it is, what I resonate with a lot when it comes to Corey is I feel, again, I see him as a younger brother, but I feel him in regards to being a nerdy kid that's into anime, video games, and all that stuff, but still loves the Lord and wants to be a Christian, right? And I know he's probably been in spaces, just because he's a YouTuber, but been in spaces where people are probably doing stuff that he doesn't agree with or whatever, and he's trying his best, right? To the best of our understanding. He's trying his best to represent the Lord well, to be a Christian, to be a positive influence, to lead people, point people to God, and all this stuff, right? It's complex. And so I can understand, but I can also understand that he's still human, and our humanity, as much as whatever religious belief or spiritual belief that we have, our humanity is also complex. And so when I found out about this, my immediate thing was like, oh, yo, this sucks. I'm disappointed. And sadly, I believe it. I believe he really could have been emotionally abusive to her. 100%. And it's not to say that he's evil or anything like that. It's the fact that he is a human. He is a man. If we want to go back 8 years or whatever, he's a young man that is raised in a patriarchal society that thrives off of misogyny, that thrives off of abuse, thrives off of silencing victims, and even within the space of being a Christian, thrives off of grimy behavior. To me, whether Corey comes out with a video to explain everything, or if he just comes out with with another gameplay, because at this point, I feel like people don't even feel like he needs to respond. And personally, I think he does. I think he needs to address this. And I think that would be the most samurai thing to do. I think that would be the most beneficial man thing to do. Whether it's even to say like, hey, I see a lot's been going on. A lot of allegations are coming out about me. He could either say, I didn't do anything or whatever, but I want to communicate that none of that is okay. Being emotionally abusive is not okay. Treating people poorly is not okay. Whatever, trying to clarify and give some guidance and direction. Or he can, on the other side, come out and be like, you know what? I did do a lot of that stuff. I was grimy to her. I was emotionally abusive. I didn't know better though. This is 9 years later. I've matured. I do need to apologize to her for the things that I've done, so on and so forth. And this isn't okay. This isn't okay behavior. This isn't okay culture that we should have. Either way, I believe it would be a mature thing to do to address the allegations and actually give some guidance and direction. The thing about it is this matters because Corey is such a huge role model and influencer, especially to younger children. And the thing is, whether people want to gloss over it or make it like it's not real, which is a toxic thing to do. We live in a toxic society where we want to completely get rid of people's experiences, especially if they are communicating and sharing things towards people we idolize, or towards people that we respect, or towards people that we're fans of, you know? Let's be honest, like, we don't know Corey. As much as he shares, which is a beautiful thing, we don't know him. We don't know him behind closed doors. Everything that he posts, everything that he shares is what he wants to share. As somebody that's made videos and been a content creator for a while, everything that anybody posts online, they're editing and choosing. And again, I don't know him personally. I hope the best. Again, I want Corey to grow from this situation and circumstance and continue to be successful. I do. But I'm also going to be, I want things to change in our community and in society as a whole. And abuse isn't something light to play with lightly. And silencing victims and dogpiling on them and fighting for people, particularly abusers, to continue to be elevated and lifted up, it's not okay. So like, I got some notes. This matters because Corey is such a huge role model and influencer, especially to younger children. Abuse is abuse, even emotional abuse. And excusing it, downplaying it, or labeling it as he was just a bad boyfriend, or that was just a toxic relationship, is lazy and dismissive. We need to acknowledge this stuff should be avoided. It shouldn't be accepted. And we, particularly as men, should work to not show up in this way. So again, I honestly believe Corey should come out and have a response to everything that was going on. And I also think what would be very beneficial is clearly identifying whether he did or did not. That kind of behavior isn't okay. And I know there might be some people in the comments like, we know that already. No, you don't. That's the thing. You don't. What I've learned and what I've come to see over time is a lot of the things we say we know, we don't until we do something and it's reflected back to us. So there's a lot of toxic stuff, especially in Western culture, that we do. There's a lot of sexist things. There's a lot of misogynistic things. There's a lot of harmful things. There's a lot of racist things that are done. And you can be internally racist too. I'm saying that as a black man. You can believe some stuff. You can say some stuff that is jacked up and is harmful to you and your community that we just live and breathe. It's like, you know, fish not knowing that water is wet. We are raised in a culture, honestly, of abuse, and we normalize it, whether it's on the workplace, whether it's in families, whether it's at school. There's a lot of grimy stuff that happens in our community that we think we know. We think, oh, I'm never going to do that, but end up doing it because you haven't done your own unlearning of stuff. And again, I understand and I make space that there is a lot to learn. We're all maturing. I've done some stuff that I regret that has been emotionally abusive. I regret it and it hurts my heart. And which is one of the reasons why I know it's so important, especially as a man, that we need to do the internal work. We need to go to therapy. We need to be in community. We need to question and tear down and deconstruct all of our things so that we can understand, am I doing something that's harmful or am I actually doing something that's beneficial for myself and for my community? Because if we don't, it's just going to go through. It's just going to go through. And so like there are people after she communicated, and I'm trying to stay on point as much as possible. But there are a lot of other thoughts coming. A couple of days after her initial post, right? And people started talking about it. So about 3 days ago, after she re-clarified that Panda never said that Corey SA'd her. People were like, oh, Corey beat the allegations. Again, she accused him of emotional abuse. Corey didn't beat anything. The thing is, y'all just choose not to listen and take abuse seriously. That's just what it is. If it wasn't SA, then nothing else mattered. Nothing else about her experience mattered. And we like to do that. And we also like to, and I'm saying we again, because our society likes to do this. It's trash. It sucks. You know, even in this case, which it was actual SA with Diddy and Cassie. Nobody really wanted to listen to Cassie and their experiences. None. We wanted to find all kinds of ways around and excuses and blame her for stuff and downplay her experience, which takes a lot of bravery and a lot of balls to be able to say, yeah, somebody rich and powerful, somebody that has all this clout, somebody that has all this status did these things to me. And yeah, that was years later too, which is the case even for me too. There was a lot of time in between this stuff happening. But we like to try to logic it away and be like, no, if it was really that serious, they would have came out about it yesterday. They would have came out when it happened. We don't like to listen to victims. We don't like to listen to those who are abused. We don't like to listen to those who are offended. Because honestly, at the heart, at the core of our Western perspective, of our American culture, we don't like to be losers. And for all the people who have been victimized, this is how we see it. The people who have been victimized, the people who have been offended, the people who have been scammed, the people who have been hurt, they're all losers. And there's no way that we can be okay with being losers or understanding where losers come from. And it's the pull yourself up by your own bootstraps mentality that forces us to always try to be victors, always try to be winners. If something happened, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you know this was a scam? Why didn't you see the red flags? That's another popular thing, right? Identify the red flags. Or why didn't you vet this person? We like to blame the victim for missing all of the signs. All of this, I have to attribute to the women in my life who I've been able to sit and listen to and get a different perspective. I'm very grateful for my wife who has shared so much with me. I'm grateful for Bourbon Bougie who creates content, and Melanie Hamlet who creates content on YouTube and on TikTok. YV_edit. You're triggered. There are a lot of content creators, a lot of women content creators, a lot of women authors, a lot of people who have dealt with this. And that's just, women experiences. Then there are people who actually talk about abusive relationships. That's a big deal. But at the core of it, what I've seen is nobody wants to be a loser. And so we will defend winners as much as possible. And I think sadly in this situation, that's how we were looking at with Corey. There's no way that he could have done anything wrong at all. And soon as he was off the hook from it not being SA, we stopped caring. Everything she's saying is a lie. None of that matters. All of it's bad. Whatever. Get rid of her. We don't want to hear anything about her. So much so that people are coming out making long videos. I'm going to do both sides. I'm going to do let's do balance. I'm going to be as objective as possible. And yet all we're doing is dismissing her experience and trying to find, there's balance in it. You were wrong too. You were wrong too. He was wrong over here. We were both wrong. You were both right. It's not that, now it's been 8 or 9 years. It's over. It's not a big deal. And yeah, I can understand why she's like, you know what? I'm tired of this. F that. Nobody wants to listen to me anyway. People are going to keep bothering me. People are going to send me death threats. Who are going to make fake accounts about me. People are just going to harass me. And all I was trying to do was share my experience. But we're going to nitpick, tear everything apart about her experience, her story. And this happens to victims all the time, particularly women, all the time. And so, yeah, she's going to take that stuff down because she don't want to, for the Christians, she doesn't want to put her mouth on the Holy One that you all believe in. Don't touch my anointed. So why would she? She's going to take back everything she said just so she can be left alone now, just so she can be at peace. I get it. I understand because I've seen it in other people's lives. We've seen it because, again, there are people who come out, share their story, and then they're just, let's not listen to them at all. And it's messed up. We are quicker to defend our idols and find loopholes than actually face reality. What if the real reality is that, again, we don't know Corey? What if the real reality is at that point in time, yeah, he was emotionally abusive? What if that's the truth? What if he does have issues? Again, he's human. It's possible. And I think that's why it's important that he chooses to respond. Be human. Yeah, I effed up. I messed up. I did some stuff. I was immature. It's not cool. Don't be like that. Don't be like my past self. It's okay to own up to that. I get it. It's hard. But again, I think that would be a very stand-up, Last Samurai truth thing to do. Again, he can do whatever he wants, right? Or he can do whatever he wants. But I think, And my expectation is, as an older black man talking to a younger black man, I hope, whether it's with his legal team, whether it was his family, whether it's with his pastor, whatever, his community figures out a way to actually address the situation, because it's important, because he is a role model. Whether he wants that title or not, he is an influencer. And I think it would be brave of him and bold of him to actually communicate and share about what's happening in an honest way. My main intention with this video, it's bigger than Corey. It's bigger than whether he did it or he didn't do it. The core of this to me is there is an issue within our society and within our community that we don't take seriously abusive behavior, particularly when it comes to the abuse and the harm that happens that is unseen. And since she mentioned emotional abuse, that stood out to me. And because, again, Corey Kenshin is a black man, and I'm hoping is a beneficial black man and trying to be one, this matters and this is relevant. Again, when she shared her story, and in one of her posts, she talked about him being a Christian man and how he presents himself as Christian and he is grimy behind the scenes. I need you all to understand, first, F-boys are real. Guys who take advantage of women, take advantage of people, because I'm not closing this off to just heterosexual relationships. But F-boys are real. They do grimy stuff. They take advantage of people for their own game, hurt people's heart, hurt people's pockets, hurt people's minds, just to get what they want. What I need you all to understand is that Christian F-boys are real. They're really, really real. And as much as I understand in the Christian community, we don't want that to be true, it is. And it always has been. There are so many jokes about, maybe more specifically in black churches, that musicians are Christian F-boys. Sorry for all my musicians out there, but you know that's a stereotype. And you also know that it's true in some cases. A lot of guys who claim to be Christians, who claim to be religious, spiritual, who claim to be really close to God are F-boys, and sometimes the worst of them. And being candid, looking back at my life, being a former Christian F-boy, I understand it's a thing. It's a thing, and it sucks. It sucks. Religious men, spiritual men are some of the biggest F-boys, some of the biggest abusers, and sometimes some of the biggest culprits of grimy activity within our society. And they can hide. They can hide because of the expectation and the way that we elevate men of the cloth within our society. Well, that man's a preacher. That man's a pastor. He's gifted. He's called. We can't talk about him. Again, we like to pull out that scripture. Don't put your mouth on God's anointed. But they over here causing havoc, sleeping with people, taking advantage of women. It's true. It's real. Whether they're like a Christian influencer, whether they're an actual pastor, whether they're a youth minister, it doesn't matter. Grimy stuff. We need to accept the reality that just because somebody claims to be a Christian or somebody claims to be a spiritual or religious person does not mean that they're actually that. And so when she said that, when she shared her experience, for me, it's like, oh, no, it's understandable. I can see that. I can see that. Am I going to condemn Corey to hell? No, I ain't got no hell to put him in. But I can understand that it's very possible that he has done some grimy stuff. One, because he's human. Two, because he's also a man. There is a saying that women, I've heard women say, and I've heard other people say too, in men, and I believe it, and I agree with it, and I would say it too. It's all men. It's all men until proven otherwise. It's all men. Christian, atheist, whatever, it doesn't matter. Black, white, whatever. Because again, we were raised in a culture that thrives off of and survives off of abuse, off of sexism, off of misogyny. And so yes, it sucked for me 3 days ago hearing about it, seeing those allegations, reading her posts on TikTok, and it all making sense to me. And it sucks. That is very possible that was her experience, that could have happened. Because again, she communicated an emotional abuse. I'm not talking about SA or anything. She cleared that up. And the thing about it to me is And all of the defense, all of the showing up, all the trying to make sure that Corey isn't being canceled or anything like that. The thing that matters to me in these situations is that these are moments for us, particularly as men, young or old, whatever, to reflect. If she's describing her experience with him, making her feel crazy at times, I'm sure, traces of like gaslighting and not feeling good, not feeling grounded. How many of us have been toxic? Taking that moment to really think, am I that way? Am I doing anything like that with my partner? Or the last girlfriend I had, did I do stuff like that? Like in situations like that, one, first, we don't want to listen to the victim. Two, we don't want to be losers. And so we're going to try our best to make sure that the winner gets off scot-free, right? So in this situation, it would be Corey. Let's find all the evidence. Let's find all the things. Let's beat all the allegations. Let's do detective work. Let's find that all this stuff is fake. Y'all were saying that like her screenshots were fake, like they were fabricated, they were made up. All this stuff is made up. But in these situations, these are moments that we can self-reflect and check in with ourselves before we demonize and completely get rid of the victim's experience, and before we run cover or protection for, in this situation, the person being considered the offender. Do we stop and actually look at ourselves? Because there's three people in this situation that's going on. There are three parties: the victim, the offender, and the third person that can have an actual impact on how this situation is handled. And honestly, we, as a third party, we did trashy. Because again, like, she's silenced now. Anything, even if her experience is very real, even if it's all true, even if it is a lie, y'all took her voice away. Y'all literally took her voice away. The only way that you're going to find her posts is if people have screenshots or people leave their videos up. She got rid of them. Y'all literally silenced her because of the way that she reacted. And so in the midst of this, yeah, we need to think, am I like that? Have I done anything like that? The way that she describes her relationship, have I ever acted like that in a relationship? Have I ever done toxic stuff? Have I ever been emotionally abusive? Let me even look that up. What does that mean? What does that even look like? Because the thing is, don't think you're exempt from doing grimy stuff. And also, don't belittle grimy and abusive stuff that happens. Again, it's so disheartening when, if it's not the worst and most heinous experience, SA, nothing else matters. Oh, Corey was probably just a bad boyfriend. He did some toxic stuff. All right, whatever, get over it. What? Like, that stuff hurts. It damages people. It changes the way people look at the world, to look at themselves. And of course, since we all want to see ourselves as winners and victors, we don't want to have any space or grace that people are damaged by that, because we're doing the work to make sure that we don't end up being a loser, that we don't end up as a victim, that we're not holding on to things, that our heart's not broken. Because the thing about it is, a lot of us have experienced abuse in different ways. It doesn't have to be romantic relationships, but we are encouraged to swallow it, get over it, and move on. That's not how actual healing works. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes honesty. It takes vulnerability. It takes a lot. And I'm only sharing it from the little that I'm learning, as I'm constantly learning, because I want to get better at this too, because it matters. Again, trying to be beneficial. And so, like, I understand it sucks. It sucks that when this happened, again, 3 days ago, so maybe, yeah, like Monday, July 14th, 2025, just to put, because I don't plan on taking this down. Monday, July 14th, 2025. 3 days ago, when these allegations were made, it sucks when a representative of the community falls or fails, right? Whether it's allegations, whether they're true or not, that idea, it just sucks. And it's hurtful. And it's disappointing, because you don't want it to be true. But I think what's a more sobering thing to do is to not be so quick to defend people.
Just want to make a quick note here. This is editing Jamal. We should not be too quick to defend people we don't actually know. We don't actually know Corey. We don't.
Sometimes you really do gotta just listen. Like when this first came out, I wanted to make a video. So on the 14th, I wanted to make a video. But I'm glad that I'm just waiting and listening. Because sure, as people are trying to sleuth and find evidence and find a defense and whatever, beat the allegations, help Corey beat the allegations, be diehard fans and supporters. Sometimes we move a little too quick and don't take a step back to look at the bigger picture and how this means a lot. This is a big deal. And just because he hasn't said anything yet doesn't mean it's just over. Just because at this point, honestly, I feel like she was just bullied to take down her post doesn't mean it's over. Because let's say that everything was true. Bad relationship, he was emotionally abusive, she was sharing her experience. Other people, other women have been harmed too. Based off of where we are right now, with her taking down her posts, Corey not saying anything, and her being silenced, and us being okay with the fact that he's beat these allegations and we want to get over it, that means another offender was able to do their thing without consequence. That means there are people in our community who don't feel safe enough to share their experiences. That means more victims are silenced and women feel less safe. That's a bigger impact to our community. That means patriarchy is upheld. That means misogyny is upheld. That means sexism is upheld. That means the abusive culture that we are all victims of is upheld. Again, saying that is true, right? Based off of our response as the third party in this situation. That sucks. That means we have to continue to suffer. Women have to keep suffering and not feel heard, not feel seen, not feel protected, not feel valued, because we want to continue to protect and elevate the good ones in our community, the successful ones. I think we need to stop being quick to defend the good ones. We're better off working to create beneficial men. So whether he did it or not, the goal should be we need to do the hard work of seeing where the issues are. That, yeah, mental health is a serious thing. Abuse is a serious thing. Sexism, misogyny, patriarchy, all the parts of this matrix that we live in this society, they all need to be broken down because they're influencing us. They're influencing our relationships. They're influencing how we are raised and conditioned. All this stuff needs to be critiqued and worked on. As men, we need to be more self-reflexive, and analyze and critique what's going on with us. Critique our failures, critique the ways that we've messed up. And we also need to accept that every one of us as men can do villainous things. We all can be villains, and we're all equipped to be villains. And this happens to be true, and there's no accountability, there's no consequences, there's nothing, and we just move on. We are rewarded for being villains because nobody comes to stop it. The majority of the videos that I saw, and I'm not on TikTok like that, but the majority of the videos that I saw on YouTube were all men coming to defend Corey and to silence this woman. I think there were a handful here and there trying to be unbiased, but no, it was just us, I'm including myself as men, saying that there's no way that this could have happened, and once he beat the allegations, it was just like, oh, well, that's it. She needs to get over it. It's not that bad, whatever, and we'll move on. Like this is a more complex situation that we need to take seriously. I think generally we have a problem of ignoring and not listening to victims, especially when it comes to people we really admire and care about. And again, I think Corey is an amazing content creator. And based off the little stuff that we do know, I think he's a great guy. Again, all of what we can see and what is shared, right? But I don't know him. And I do want the best for him. I do want success for him because I think that's a beautiful thing. Like, he inspires a lot of people. He encourages a lot of people. And I think he does have a good influence and a beneficial place in our community. But I also know he's a human. And so if he did fail or slip up in this area, if he did actually cause harm, he should own it and grow from it. Admit to it, acknowledge it, offer the apologies that need to be made or whatever publicly, and move from there and encourage other people to not do that. Just like he's done in other videos trying to say as samurai, we don't go to other people's channels and do stuff, you know, like troll on people or do anything like that. The same can be said for this, whatever it is, right? But again, as a community, we can't overlook this stuff. And we can't just try to hide and run away from real realities that, yeah, there are people who are abused, that there are bad relationships, that there is actually some toxic and bad stuff that happens in our community, that happens in our society, that needs to be worked on. Abuse is abuse. And again, all men are socialized in abuse because of the matrix that we live in, because of the patriarchy. The way that patriarchy works is that there has to be a dominant and there has to be a subdominant or submissive. That in itself is oppressive. It's not equal. It's not egalitarian, as some people like to say, or I know some Christian perspectives like that, you know, everybody's equal or whatever. No, patriarchy is somebody's on top and somebody's on the bottom, and it has to stay that way. That sucks. So we're all groomed in it. I think it's time for us as men to just take the L and learn how to be better humans. And I know there's going to be immediate pushback. There's going to be like, no, Corey didn't do anything wrong. It's not all guys. Like, it can't be. We are not that bad. Whatever. As men, as much as we fight to protect character and not lose, again, nobody wants to be the loser. Taking the L and learning from it, growing from it, will better benefit us personally and the community collectively. And so what do I mean by take the L? I think we need to accept, as men, generally speaking, most of us, as leaders, protectors, providers, generally speaking, we have failed. It's best to take the L and learn how to be a better team player. At this point, I'm going to be more specific for the Black community. As men, we haven't done a good job. We haven't done a good job at protecting the least of these, women and children. We haven't done a good job at protecting our community, and we don't do a good job at protecting, I was going to say each other, but I'm hesitant to say that because I think we do a good job of protecting each other, only to the benefit of ultimately protecting ourselves. Because we'll do whatever we need to do inherently in us to protect the patriarchy. We'll try to defend other good guys. We'll try to separate ourselves from bad guys. We'll try to do all these things so that we're okay, but not knowing that what really needs to happen is oftentimes, every time, we need to step in when there is bad stuff happening that is affecting the all. And so that includes abuse. And so for me, yeah, that's one of the reasons I want to make this video. Again, I don't know Corey. I don't know Panda. I'm going off of whatever evidence is presented or details that were presented that everybody else saw, right? But to me, this is a serious situation. And I think we did a really bad job at navigating this. I don't think it's beneficial to quickly try to find faults in a victim's story, to try to save somebody, to try to protect somebody. But I mean, in all honesty, really, all we should have did was just wait for Corey to respond. It should have just been like, oh, well, she said this stuff. All right, Corey, what you gonna say? But we immediately jumped in and we were defending the Shogun, right? That's what we were doing. And I think that's a human thing to do. That's a people thing to do. You know, you try to protect and defend the people you care about. But again, there's bigger things at play here. And at the end of the day, whether Corey did it or not, and again, I think it's a great idea that he comes out with a video and he shares his experience. He shares whatever he needs to share. But he talks about the seriousness of abuse and toxic behavior and emotional abuse within relationships. And it says, nah, don't do that crap. And again, I understand people are like, well, I know that already. I don't need to know that. Da, 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 da. That's no, like, again, we say that, right? We think that. But women are harmed every day in relationships, even sometimes not even romantic. Every day there is abusive and toxic stuff that happens to the sisters in our community, within and without the church, every day. This is from the World Health Organization. This came out in 2021. Devastatingly pervasive. 1 in 3 women globally experience violence. And so, yes, this article is about saying that women are subjected to physical or sexual violence by an intimate partner or violence from a non-partner. 1 in 3. So that means if there are 3 women sitting in a room, one of them had experienced some kind of violence. And so yes, we were like, oh no, it wasn't SA, whatever. Misogynistic talking can be violent to a woman. Catcalling can be violent. It can be harmful. It can be abusive. So again, yeah, abuse is broader than just SA. It's a big deal. And we got to stop downplaying this. If we are, as men, supposed to be the leaders and protectors, think about that. If we're supposed to be the leaders and protectors in this world, in this society, 1 in 3 women globally have been harmed. We are doing a shitty job. I'm sorry, yo. Like, just thinking about that. If we were supposed to be the protectors, if we were supposed to be these big, bad men who protect and lead in our communities, 1 in 3. And we don't want to listen. We don't want to listen to victims. We don't want to listen to women of any age who express, no, this person did something wrong to me. We don't want to listen to that. And we don't want to take it seriously. That's fucked up, yo. I'm sorry. And I'm this is why it's bigger than that. And this is why I can't say that Corey is off the hook for these allegations. I think it's important, it's imperative. And I think it would be very beneficial for him as a shogun, as a samurai, to actually come out and say something. Because the reality of what's going to happen is there are going to be some people, some young man, some young boy who's going to watch this, who's going to see all this stuff online, and who's going to get it in their mind that this stuff isn't serious. And long as it's not SA, I'm good. But I can be an F-boy in other areas. I can mess with a girl's heart. I can mess with her mind. I can mess with her wallet. Anything. Long as it's not SA. Long as I'm not doing that. And I'm be honest. Again, even within the Christian space. Long as I haven't crossed that line, I'm going to do whatever I want. And that's dangerous. And I know it. I know that to be true. That there are some guys who are already thinking that I'll just get a pass for this. I can be toxic as crap. And it'll be okay long as I don't SA somebody. Nah, this is a big deal. And this shouldn't be glossed over. We need to take this seriously as a community. And I think it's important if we are trying to be beneficial, we're trying to be beneficial men in our community, we can't take this abuse stuff lightly in any regard. And we can't just be dismissing stuff at all.